Hello, the topic of today's lesson is division by two-digit numbers, whole numbers, of course. We are on page 47, division. Let's do some division today. How many times 20 goes into 140? Well, that's a very simple question, but let's think of it a different way. 20 is 2 tens, and 140 is 14 tenths. We can ask ourselves how many times 2 tenths goes into 14 tenths, and of course 7. I also want to take a look at a different representation and crossing out the zeros as we see right here in the yellow box. My friends, any division we learn in 3rd and 4th grade, we can write as a fraction vertically with a fraction bar. If you remember, we can always simplify fractions to find equivalents. All we need to do is divide the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator, this is our numerator, this is our denominator, by the same factor. 140 and 20 are both round multiples of 10. 140 divided by 10 is 14. 20 divided by 10 is 2. And we know that 14 divided by 10 is 7. That's another way to look at division. Let's go and solve some examples. We're on page 48. Divide. We are number 1, and we will try to do as much as we can. Let's do number 1, let's do some of number 2, number 3, and so on. Number 1, A. 70 divided by 30. Notice how we can write it using vertical division. Let's ask ourselves, how many times 30 goes into 70? And we know it goes only 2 times. 30 times 2 is 60, and the remainder is 10. We write 2, remainder 10. Question C. How many times 20 goes into 89? Well, we know that 20 goes into 80 for, 20 goes into 80 for, interesting, let's see. 20 goes into 80 4 times. 20 times 40 is 20 times 4 is 80, and the remainder is 9. We subtract to find the remainder. I hope you get the idea. Let's look at number D. How many times 70 goes into 625? Well, let's ask ourselves an easier question. How many times 7 goes into 62? How many times 7 goes into 62? And we can think that 7 times 8 is 56. So let's say 8 times. Let's do the multiplication. 70 times 8 is 560. And the remainder is 65. Remainder 65. My friends, let's move on to number 2. Of course, it would be good to have some white space over here, and the book doesn't give us any white space. So let's start from ABC. I'm going to write a line. Let's start with A, B, and C, the top examples. All right, so 90 divided by 50. Let's ask ourselves, how many times 50 goes into 90? 1 time, of course, and the remainder is 40. Next question, 79 divided by 40. Oh, I wish it was 80 divided by 40. It would be so easy. But 40 goes into 79 only 1 time. And the remainder is, well, 79 minus 40. The rest, 39, is the remainder. Final question, 85 divided by 30. How many times 30 goes into 85? Well, 30 goes into 85? Probably 2 times, right? 2 times 30 gives you 60. So the remainder is 85 minus 60 is 25. Notice 40 times 1 is 40. 50 times 1 is 50. And then we add a remainder. And then we add a remainder. And then we add a remainder. And that's how we know addition. We got the correct answer. Let's answer the bottom line, D, E, F. How many times 70 goes into 540? Well, let's ask ourselves a different, easier question. How many times 7 goes into 54? Well, 7 goes into 54 7 times. Let's try that 7 times. We know that 70 times 7 is 490, and we have 540. Therefore, remainder is 50. We subtract to find the remainder. Next question. How many 613 divide by 90? How many times 90 goes into 613? Well, let's say how many times 9 goes into 61? 9 goes into 61? Well, it's about 6 times. 9 times 6 is 554. 90 times 6 is 540. Therefore, the remainder is 613 minus 540 is 73. Next, final question. How many times 60 goes into 438? Let's ask ourselves an easier question. How many times 6 goes into 43? Well, we know 6 times 7 is 42. 6 goes into 43 at least 7 times. Let's check using multiplication. We multiply, right? 60 times 7 is 420, and we have 438. Therefore, the remainder is only 18 left. We did not divide the remaining 18. I'm going to skip over questions 3 and 4 using area model and jump straight to 95 on the following page. Now I am here on number 5, lots of division. My friends, in here I would like to start first by doing the last box. Okay, let's do the last column. 85 divided by 38. Notice, unlike the previous page where now our divisors are, where is my highlighter? Our divisors are not round number, 38, 29, 95, 44. Let's see what we can do. Let's ask ourselves, how many times 38 goes into 85? How many times 38 goes into 85? Well, we can think of 38, we can think of it as it's about 40, right? We can think of that. So 38 goes into 85 about 2 times. 38 times 2. My friends, 38 times 2 is 30 times 2 is 60. 8 times 2 is 16. It is 76. Therefore, the remainder, 85 minus 76, is only 9. Question F. 57 divided by 29. Again, 29 is no longer a round number, but we can kind of make it to the close round number, which is 30. How many times do you think 30 goes into 57? 30 goes into 57. Well, it's about 1 time, right? Would be nice to have 60, but we don't have 60. So 29 goes into 57 only 1 time. Only 1 time. Now, the rest of that number will be the remainder. So 29 times 1 is 29, and then we have 57 minus 29. Well, that is 28. That is 28. Look at our large remainder, but that's okay. Not a problem. Next, let's think of example I for igloo. 756 divided by 95. Well, let's think of 95. Let's round it. Let's think of it as 100 first, right? That's a helpful strategy. How many times do you think 100 goes into 756? Well, I would say it goes in it about 7 times. It goes into 707 times, right? So 95 goes into 756 7 times. Let's do multiplication. 95 times 7, it is 35. We remember 3. 9 times 7 is 63 plus 3, 665. 665, and we have 756. 756 minus 665. 1, 9, 91 is the remainder. Look at this large remainder. Look at this large remainder. And finally, example L. Example L. I'm going to show it to you using long division algorithm right here in the corner. 183 divided by 44. Well, does 44 go into 1? No. Does 44 go into 18? No. We need to figure out how many times 44 goes into 186. Well, how many times 40? Let's round down. Let's just think of this as 40. How many times 40 goes into 183? Well, we know 40 times 4 is 616. So let's go like that, 4 times. Let's multiply 44 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 40 times 4 is 160. 176. To find the remainder, we must subtract. So this becomes 7. This becomes 13 minus 6 is 7. And that's it. It is only 4, remainder 7. I want to bring your attention to this notion of remainders. Remainders. Let's take a look. We have a remainder of 9, remainder of 28, remainder of 91, remainder of 7. My friends, all of our remainders are smaller than our divisors. Look at that. 9 is less than 38. 28 is less than 29. 91 is less than 95. And 7, of course, is less than 44. The remainder should always be smaller than the divisor. Okay? All right. Let's move to the following page. Let's move. I am on page number 50. We have more questions about division. Let's look at them. Number 8, divide. Number 9, divide. Number 10, divide. Lots and lots of examples. Let's look at the top line like I always split. A, B, C. Let me draw the top line. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, 68 divided by 17. Well, here, my friends, if you know your numbers, 17 goes into 68 is exactly 4 times. 4 times. We can check our work. 4 times 10 is 40, and 4 times 7 is 28. 40 and 28 is 68. We have a nice exact answer, no remainders. How many times 25 goes into 77? Well, we know 25, wrong place. 25 times 1, 25 times 2, 25 times 3. Well, we know that 25, which is so close to 25 cents, goes into 77 3 times, right? 3 times. 3/4 is 75. 25 times 3 is 75. And the remainder is 2. Next question. How many times 33 goes into 94? It only goes in there 2 times, my friends. 33 times 2 is 66. The rest will be in our remainder. 94 minus 66 is 28. 28 is let's check our remainders. Is our remainder smaller than the divisors? Yes, they are. 28 is less than 33, right? Let me switch back to my pencil. 28 is less than 33. 2 is less than 25. Let's continue with the bottom line, D, E, and F. Examples D, E, F. Let's ask ourselves, how many times 21 goes into 83? Well, 21 goes into 83. Let's try 3 times. Let's try, it would be nice to have 4 times. 21 times 4 is 84, but we don't have 84. We have only 83. So it can only go into 83 3 times. 21 times 3, let's multiply, reverse operation, is 63. Therefore, the rest of this number will be our remainder, 20. Next question, E for Eddie. E for Eddie. Let's erase my estimation. Let's erase my doodles. E for Eddie. Let's go. 43. How many times 43 goes into 84? Well, we know 43 times 2 is 86. But unfortunately, we don't have 86. We have only 84. Therefore, 43 can go only 1 time. And the rest will be packed into remainder. 84 minus 43 is 41. And finally, I hope you all know that 15 goes into 75 exactly 5 times. We can always check using inverse operation. 15 times 5 is 75. Let's again note our remainders. Let's bring attention to our remainders. Remainder 41, remainder 20, and we all notice that our remainder is smaller than a divisor. Remainder is smaller than the divisor. I hope you're getting a hang of dividing 2-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers.